So we've done a lead list generator scraping Google Business Profile. This one right here that we're looking at, it's a lead list generator working with Apollo IO. Now, it pulls the data directly from LinkedIn. LinkedIn might not be the best place where your ideal client lives. That's why we have Google Business Profile. Because if you're dealing as an AI agency or a lead aggregator and so forth, most of the businesses that are local don't live on LinkedIn, right? But if you're more on the professional side of the spectrum, then this is a way for you to get leads at scale. Okay, so there's going to be two platforms you need. Like the other one, we're going to still be using Apify, okay? And we're going to be using Apollo. Now, Apollo, the only thing you need to do here is actually get the URL, which we're gonna go over in this video. So you're good to go on the free, because we're really not going to be using Apollo for anything besides just the filtering process to get the URL. So with that, let me just pull this over here real quick. So I have filters here for email status being verified, job titles, owner, president, director, managers, CEO, locations. I'm looking at Burbank. I did LA. I was doing some tests for different cities. And number of employees, 11 to 20, 21, 50, 51, 100, 101, 200, right? And everything else is the same. Oh, annual revenue, no. Now, when you sign up with Apollo, don't use don't start going in here and getting the URL, because the URL is actually going to be completely wrong. It's going to have activation and all this stuff, and we don't need that. So go ahead and either log out and log back in, or refresh the page. It needs to look something like this. The word activation cannot be in this URL. Okay, so just that out of the way. Now, another thing you're going to need is, in order to use this, unfortunately, you will need to get an Apify account, like an actual plan. So I want to get this out of the way. So if you're not planning to use Apify, then this might be a deal breaker for you. If not, if you're a lead aggregator, this might be great for you because you're going to be selling the leads. If you feel that $40 a month is worth the money, which I think that it is, if you're going to be using consistently. If you're going to be using it one time, then maybe not. So you will need an Apify paid account. And the reason for that is, you're going to see here that user on the free Apify plan can run the actor through the UI, so through here, but we cannot use any other methods. One of those methods, it's API, which we use here, so we can't use it. Another thing that you're going to encounter is you can't do a simple 5 or 10 record search. You need a minimum of 500. Okay, so you can see here, hey, request is used, it went success. However, it got canceled because it's under 500. Okay, so you're gonna need Apollo, which is free, at least as of now, and then you're gonna need Apify paid account. With that said, let's get into just quickly the Google Sheet, because this is exactly what you're gonna do. You're gonna need to name these exactly like this. Now, as we go through the video, you might want to adapt the Google Sheet to your liking. Feel free to create your own Google Sheet and map the columns to however you want, right? This is mostly just for introduction or illustration purposes to show you how to use this. Again, you're going to get this automation and you can tweak it as you like. And so we will need the ID, and that's just best practice just for me, and from being an analyst 10 years plus. I want to have the ID because at some point down the line we're gonna need it, right? Maybe not here, but through corporate, it's just been a thing. So I get the ID. If you want to have the ID as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sequential, right through the order, that's fine. Create your own ID. Then we get the first name, the last name, the LinkedIn URL, right? I'm gonna go back because I don't want to keep expanding all of this. The title, their current title, the headline that they're using on their LinkedIn snapshot, their email, their phone number. Now, the phone number, I'm not 100% sure if this is their cell phone or this is an office phone. I most likely, I believe is their office phone number for the company they work. Okay. And they're their own business, right? For the most part, owner, CEO, president, CEO, they could be working for a specific company. So city, state, and country. So now, do we know this? That's 99% accurate. Yeah, I mean, we can definitely use email to send mass email to them to get clients, prospects. Okay, enough of that. Let's go through the leads. The lead automation. I make myself small here. Perfect. All right. So we can run this on a scheduler every week, month, etc. Right? I doubt it daily. I don't think you would go through 500 unless you're actually using other platforms, but I think a weekly is sufficient. We're going to be using parameters here. And we have a minimum record to run, it's 500. Okay. And then we have the URL with filters, and this is the URL. Now, this is what I'm talking about to make sure that when you go in here, you don't have the activation because it's not going to work. Once you start filtering all this, this is the only thing you need to do here. Filter everything you need to do. Once that's done, copy this URL and you're going to place it here like I've done. Okay, it's going to look like that. Pretty long URL. That's all you need to do. Do not touch this because that's the minimum. Now, if you want to do more, go ahead. It's believe every scrape, every 1,000 leads is $1.20. So pretty cheap. If you're a lead aggregator, this is music to your ears because if you go to platforms like Fiverr or Upwork, they're charging a pretty decent amount for like 100, like 50, 100 leads. So that's a different business model. We're not going to get into that. Okay, so we got a parameter set as best practice. Great, we're gonna run the actor, right? So the way we do this is, if you've seen the Google Business Profile video, it's literally the same way. Okay, so we're gonna go through to the scraper. We're just gonna go, Apify. You're gonna find this one. You're gonna go to home. Excuse me. You're gonna go to actors. You're gonna go to your actor, and then you're gonna input. When you start off, okay, if you want to do this yourself, you can and get practice, that's fine. You're going to put the URL there, you're going to put the number of stuff, and then you're going to turn this into a JSON, right? And then you're going to copy this. And that's all you're doing. And then you're adding it here. Okay, so you can see we're basically saying, hey, clean output. The clean output is basically saying, hey, we have 100 columns, right? We're just going to clean it up because there's some columns that you might not need, and we'll return 10 columns. Where if you want that, that's fine. I like to have all the columns and then sort it out myself. So that's a clean output. Total records, that's the minimum records to run, 500. And the URL is the URL we've done there, right? So instead of you going to the parameter here, the JSON, and put in, copy and paste it here, just do it here. It's much easier. Copy, right? Delete this and paste it, right? Okay. Oh, I touched it. Now it's a little triangle. It's all right. We're gonna run it again, so it doesn't really matter. You're gonna copy this from your runs. Okay, so run it here once. Go into the run, and then you're gonna go into API, and then you're going to oh, that's the get run. Let's go back. Right here. You're gonna go API endpoints, and you're gonna put run actor. You're gonna basically going to copy this. I can't show it because I have my API key there, right? So I'm not gonna show it, but you're gonna copy this, and you're going to paste it there. That's all you're doing. That's the post. Okay, post. Copy that. We're going to run it. Perfect. You're going to use the JSON format. You're going to change this to body yes. From this to JSON, you're going to move from using fields to using JSON, and then that's it. And you're going to run it. That's all you're doing. Okay, so we're going to do a wait. So you can see the wait here is taking for each run about less than 2 minutes. So we're actually going to change this to 2 minutes. I was testing that was in seconds, so we're going to put this in 2 minutes. And we're going to put, that's fine, wait, and then we're going to do repoll wait. Repoll wait, right? Run actor, repoll, or yeah, repoll. Cool. So we're going to wait, and then it's going to get the run. If the run shows, right, the output as running, it's going to go through the wait and then repoll again. So it's going to loop around, okay, until it's either succeeded, right? Succeeded. If it's running, it's going to keep looping. If it's anything else than running, it's going to go to the status checker. So the status checker is basically a quick prompt here, which you can see, where it basically tells the LLM, hey, this is a status output, right? Review the status output, which is the status output. Status output is here. This is the status output. And determine whether it's succeeded or not. If you I can't even type. If you can't, there you go. If you can't determine, please default the answer to manual review. Then we have a quick required output, how I want it put out, right? Succeeded. This is the system message. We have simplify output and output content as JSON because we want this as JSON. Okay, and then we want this as success. This little output right here, yes, no, or manual review. Now, once it goes through this checker, now the reason I do that is this right here, whether it runs or fails, is gonna say succeeded. That's the reason I'm doing this. Because if it was like any other automations that we've gone through, it would be much cleaner. But there's no flag where it gives us numbers and then it tells us what the number is, or the status, which is pretty linear. I couldn't find the proper documentation. So I was like, okay, well, what's the fallback? The fallback is going to be using an LLM that interprets the success of the message, the status message, which is here, and then determines whether it succeeded or did not succeed. Super simple, right? So this just check is running, so it's running, right? Boom, it's running. If it's true, it loops around, and this is a status checker, and then this is basically saying, did it succeed or did not succeed? Success, right? Success, true, it gets data, updates data. If not, we can actually add a Gmail here or a Slack or whatever. I left it blank for you guys to just add whatever you need there, okay? So we're gonna run this, and we're actually going to, I'm not gonna delete this, so I'm actually probably gonna go through it, but we should be getting data from here on, okay? So we're gonna run this, and we're gonna see if anything breaks, and I'm gonna fix it here, right? So I'm gonna pause for 2 minutes so you guys don't have to wait. All right, so I wasn't fast enough to actually let you guys see kind of how it looped through here, but we can see it finished, success. I should be seeing, there you go. So I should be seeing more data. Now, you can see it's still the same person. So why is that? You without getting complex, okay? There are X amount of pages, right? So it starts at page 1. And you would have to count this manually, right? So there's about 2, let me do this, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 22, 4, 26. There's 26 records on page 1. So it's going to go through, right? We said 500, so it's 500 divided by 26 to page 19. So if you want more records that are different, you're going to have to go through page 20. Now, the way you do that, I haven't test tried this. I'm assuming, okay? So don't hold me to it. I haven't test tried. But the way you would do that is you would change the parameter from page 1 to page 20. Okay. Now, can you set up an automation around this? 100% you can. You can make it dynamic where it's like, okay, every 500 records, if it's the same type of URL, that's another check you would need to implement. Then you would just change the 1 to a 20, right? To a 40, to a 60, and so forth. All right. So hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully you can do something with this to start generating prospects and helping your business. Again, if there's any questions, like anything, just leave them in the community section. All right, I'll see you next video.